Welcome to BioVivacious. I am Sebastian. BioVivacious is a learner-centric YouTube channel dedicated to make fundamental concepts of biosciences clear, vibrant, and stimulating. I am sure you will enjoy this session and find the presentation very encouraging. Today, we will be discussing about instrumentation aspect of a centrifuge, how the centrifuge is constructed. So we will be looking at certain nuances of the instrumentation. A centrifuge has two parts. One is a motor. The second one is a rotor which is placed above the motor. Depending on the type of rotors, there are three kinds. One is called a fixed angle, second is called a vertical rotor, third is called a swinging bucket rotor. Look at the figure here. This is an example of a swinging bucket rotor. In a swinging bucket rotor, you can see that when the solution is at rest, if the tube and the buckets are vertical and the meniscus of the liquid is at about 90 degree to the Earth's vertical centrifugal field. As the rotor starts moving, the tube and the meniscus reorient through about 90 degree in the spinning rotor's radial centrifugal field. What is important for us to notice is a particle which is maybe at the R minimum or maybe in the R average or in the R maximum, they will all experience different gravitational field. Go back to the formula which we have learned in the previous class. So therefore, the R plays a very important role. This has to be considered in making calculations. This is a second kind of rotors. This is called the vertical rotor. So it is at exactly at 90 degree at rest. Also at 90 degree when it is spinning. The most important things to notice here is look at R minimum, R average and R maximum. There is hardly any variation. Compare this figure with the swinging bucket R minimum, average and R maximum. This is the third type of rotor called the fixed angle. The angle can vary from 15 degrees to about 45 degree. What is important for us to notice is the R minimum, R average and R maximum, which has an influence on sedimenting the particle. At the end of exposure to these three different types of rotors, what we need to understand is if the G value will depend on the location of the particle. Where is the particle present? Is it present at the R minimum or at the R average or at the R maximum? So therefore, a particle can experience different G force based on where it is present. So therefore, generally, the average value is considered for any calculation. Let us see how the sample reorient itself in a centrifuge when it is operating. This is something which we are not able to see from outside. So look at a swinging bucket centrifuge. This is how the sample will be when we place it at rest. When the run begins, if the tube reorients in this manner and if the particles begin to get separated. As we know that the heavy particle, which is yellow line, they will start moving faster to the bottom. And when it is at rest, you will see that the heavy particle has got settled and the lighter one above and the lightest one right on top. So this is how the separation occurs in a swinging bucket rotor. In comparison to a fixed angle, when it is at rest, look at the meniscus, and when it starts rotating, it will start separating the molecules in this manner. That is, the heaviest will go towards the bottom. Okay, and in a fixed angle. What about a vertical rotor? So at rest, it is at 90 degree. Now, if the solution reorients as the run begins and the particles, the heaviest particle will hit either the wall of the centrifuge tube and slowly it will, when it is resting, slowly it will come back to the heaviest will be down and the lightest particle will be above. So this is how the particles are getting separated in three different types of centrifuges. Now let us look at the different types of centrifuges. There are two kinds. One is called the preparatory. We can prepare various samples. We can separate cell organelles, etc. And the other one is called analytical centrifuges. In an analytical centrifuge, we analyze samples. We analyze how an enzyme is interacting with a substrate, how particles are moving in a centrifugal field, etc. Now, based on the types, we can also say that there are small benchtop centrifuges which we normally keep on the tabletop. Then there are centrifuges which has got large capacity and they are refrigerated. Then there are centrifuges with small capacity. Again, they are refrigerated. And the last one is ultra centrifuges with small volume but very high speed. We will be focusing on ultra centrifuge in another video. Currently, we will look at the other types of centrifuges. In a laboratory, you will be exposed to laboratory centrifuges which can deal with small volume. They may or may not be refrigerated. Mostly they will be either fixed angle rotors or swinging bucket rotors. And it may not have very high speed, maybe going up to about 10,000 RPM. So next time when you use a centrifuge, pay attention to what kind of a rotor you are using and what is the maximum speed it can attain. Has it got a conversion table of G-force or an RCF? So these are the things that you need to pay attention next time when you use a laboratory centrifuge. This is a very important slide. It is a kind of a comparison with the low speed, with the high speed and ultra centrifuge. Which kind of centrifuge can be used for the kind of work that you want to do? So there is no hard and fast rule with regard to this, but this is a kind of a baseline which you need to follow in using a centrifuge. Whenever you use a centrifuge, it is very important that you have to balance the load before you operate a centrifuge. Look at the example here. This is a swinging bucket rotor. And in this swinging bucket rotor, see, the experimenter may not have enough tubes to fill in each of these tube holder. So he has got only 4 tubes. Then how do you balance this so that the centrifuge is not damaged? This is an example of a well balanced arrangement of centrifuge tubes. Look at this. There are more centrifuge tube holder and the experimenter has properly balanced it. And the image here is an unbalanced load of samples in the centrifuge. Take your time. The task that is given for you is learn to rearrange in such a way so that it becomes balanced. It is to help you to know your centrifuge rotor. So every centrifuge will have a kind of a labeling or a kind of a barcode. F stands for it is a fixed angle rotor. 13 stands for the maximum speed this rotor can attain is only 13,000 RPM. Beyond that, there is possibility that the rotor can get damaged. S stands for this is a rotor meant for a centrifuge, not for any other instrument. 14 stands for about 14 centrifuge tube can be kept in this rotor. And 50 stands for each of these centrifuge can hold up to about 50 ml of sample. C stands for it can accept conical centrifuge tubes. Some of the centrifuge tubes will have a round bottom, some will be flat at the base. Y stands for enhanced liquid containment. See, there are certain centrifuges which will also accept either 96 well plate. So therefore that kind of clarity is given by this kind of a barcode. The heart of a centrifuge is its rotor. Special care has to be done in order to take care of the rotor. So normally a rotor is made out of aluminum. Some rotor can be made of bronze, steel. Some can be of carbon rotor. So varieties of substances are used for making a rotor. Aluminum rotor has a disadvantage, that is it can undergo corrosion. So therefore these aluminum rotors are normally anodized to decrease corrosion. So special care has to be done in order to take care of the rotor. Another kind of rotor is titanium rotor. This has a lot of advantage above the aluminum rotors because titanium alloy, it can withstand high stress, it can withstand acid attack, alkali or salt spilling in the rotor. So these are some of the advantages of titanium rotors. The latest addition is carbon fiber motors. This has got several other advantages. First of all, it is lightweight. So since it is lightweight, it has got less impact on the motor and the shaft of the centrifuge. It can withstand high stress. So therefore the lifespan of the centrifuge can be increased. It is corrosion resistant. And carbon fiber is an excellent heat insulator. So therefore it can withstand heat that is generated by the rotation of the centrifuge, the rotor. So your investment in terms of a refrigeration system in a centrifuge can be minimized. So therefore there are several advantages for a carbon fiber rotor. So what we have seen in this session is we have looked at the instrumentation part, the basic kinds of rotors that are present, how exactly the separation occurs, and how these rotors are made up of, and what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of several of these rotors. Hope you have enjoyed this session on the instrumentation of a centrifuge. Thank you for watching this channel. We shall meet again with another concept in centrifugation. Thank you very much.